Imagine you possess a single silver coin. With that coin you may purchase a loaf of bread. The baker is content, you are content, and the value of that coin is understood by both parties. It represents a certain measure of labor, grain, heat, and time. Money, at its simplest, is nothing more than a claim upon goods and services. It is a ticket that says, I have given value, and I may now receive value in return. Now suppose that, some months later, the same loaf of bread costs 2 coins instead of 1. The bread is no larger, the baker has not improved his oven. Yet the price has risen. What has happened? This, in its plainest form, is inflation. Inflation is the gradual rise in the general prices of goods and services over time. When inflation occurs, each unit of money buys a little less than it once did. The coin has not physically changed, but its purchasing power, its ability to command bread, milk, cloth or coal, has diminished. To understand why this happens, we must consider 2 simple forces: the supply of goods and the supply of money. In any marketplace, prices are shaped by a balance between how much of something exists and how much of it people desire. If there are 10 loaves of bread and 10 hungry customers, the price may remain steady. But if there are 10 loaves and 20 hungry customers, those customers will compete. Some may offer a little more coin to secure their supper. The price rises, not because bread has become more magnificent, but because it has become more scarce relative to demand. The same principle applies not only to bread, but to money itself. If a nation suddenly has far more money in circulation, more notes printed, more digital balances created, while the amount of goods and services remains largely the same, then there are simply more claims chasing the same quantity of products. More tickets are presented at the counter, but the shelves have not grown fuller. Prices, almost inevitably, drift upward. One of the most common causes of inflation is the expansion of the money supply. In modern nations, money is not limited to coins of gold or silver. It is largely created by central banks and commercial banks, through lending and financial policy. When interest rates are lowered, borrowing becomes easier, businesses expand, households spend, and more money flows through the economy. If this expansion outpaces the production of real goods and services, prices begin to rise. Yet inflation may arise from other sources as well. Consider the cost of producing goods. If the price of fuel rises sharply, transportation becomes dearer. If wages rise rapidly, companies face higher expenses. If raw materials grow scarce due to war, disaster, or disruption, production slows and costs increase. Businesses, seeking to remain solvent, raise their prices. Thus inflation can also be born not from too much money, but from too little supply, what economists often call cost-push inflation. There is too, a subtler cause: expectation. If people believe prices will rise tomorrow, they often act today in ways that make that belief come true. Workers demand higher wages in anticipation of rising costs. Businesses raise prices in anticipation of higher expenses. Consumers purchase sooner rather than later. Inflation in this manner can feed upon its own shadow. Now, one might reasonably ask, is inflation always a villain? Not entirely. A small, steady degree of inflation is often considered normal in modern economies. It can encourage spending and investment rather than hoarding. If money slowly loses value over time, individuals are more inclined to put it to productive use, to build, to trade, to innovate. The true danger lies in excess. When inflation becomes rapid and uncontrolled, it erodes savings. A lifetime of careful thrift may purchase less and less with each passing year. Fixed incomes suffer. Planning becomes difficult. In extreme cases, as history has shown in certain troubled nations, inflation can spiral into chaos, where prices double in weeks or even days, and money itself loses credibility. At its heart, inflation is a simple imbalance: too much money relative to goods, too much demand relative to supply, or rising costs rippling through production. To speak plainly, inflation means that your money does not stretch as far as it once did. The loaf costs more, the rent climbs higher, the coin grows lighter in its power. And yet, by understanding this most fundamental principle, that money is merely a claim upon real things, one begins to see that inflation is not about paper or digits alone. It is about the relationship between what a society produces and the promises it issues to claim that production. When promises multiply faster than prosperity, prices rise. That, in its essence, is inflation.